All right, what's up, everybody? It is OCPD Coach, and I am going to make a quick video showing you a little bit about Jira and how I use Jira in my life. Made a video about it a little while back, but this video hopefully is a bit more straightforward and helps you use the features that will actually be the most beneficial to you. So let's just start off here. I'm going to go ahead and create myself an account. All right, and there we go. I'm in. So Trello is in here, which is interesting because I didn't know that they own Trello. Um, this looks a little bit different than it did when I signed up, but it's okay because everything should still be the same. So we are going to go into, let's go to projects, and we're going to create, get full experience. Try it now. No, it's not what we want. Home, show all products. All right. So I'm naming my site just Ground City Gaming Studio at the link. Tell me a little bit about myself. I'm going to put software development. I'm a software engineer, and we're going to say testing and quality assurance. So these are questions that you can take your time to answer. Now here's the actual meat of it. It's going to give you the option to choose a template on how you actually want to run it. Kanban is very popular, but I believe I always go with Scrum because Scrum I think has the ceremonies attached to it. So we're going to go ahead and give it a second to build it up. Cue the Jeopardy music. I hope everybody's doing great right now. Personally, I've been sick every other week, so feels good to finally not be sick again. You don't value how good it feels not to be sick till you're sick. All right, so let's see. This is taking a little bit of time, but we are almost there. That is exactly what I want. So you can do any of these, but I'm very familiar with the Jira, so I'm going to click that. And now this is the part that I really want you all to hone in on here. So you will get all this assistance, but I'm going to zoom in some just so everything is easily visible. So when I work in Jira, I use the same technical approach that we use at my jobs and my career as a software engineer. And most of the time, we work in what we call sprints. And a sprint is just an increment of time that you do work for. So we work in 2 week sprints, which means that we choose what work we will be doing before the sprint starts. We assign the work to whoever's going to do it. And then over the course of 2 weeks, we do the work. So it's actually really good if you are like me and you have days where you have energy to work on one thing and you really don't want to have to uh, I'm trying to think of how to put it best, but you really don't want to have to spend too much of your time working on one single task and just checking that off the list. The sprint gives you the ability to have multiple tasks that you have in your queue to work on at any point, and then also give you the ability to check it off the list and feel productive. So that's what a sprint is. A sprint is just an increment of time to do some work. What you'll see here is we have a backlog. So the sprint is shown here and the backlog is shown here. The sprint is the work that we have slotted in a 2 week increment, and the backlog is the rest of the work that hasn't been slotted. So anytime I have things that I need to do for a project, let's just say I want to build a new game. If I want to build a new game, I might have 100 different tasks that I know need to get done for the project that I'm working on. But I can't do all 100 tasks inside of one sprint. It's impossible unless it's baby tasks. So if it's impossible, I need to split it up, which you can do with, so let's say we bring 5 tasks in here. I would take the other 95 and put them in the backlog. And that's what the backlog does. It just stores tasks until you're ready to pull them into a sprint. So I'm going to show you something else that's really cool while I'm sitting here, and that is that you have the ability to create additional sprints. So right now at the top, it'll always show you the sprint that you're either currently in or the sprint that is coming up next, because you can close a sprint and start a sprint. So if you've closed the sprint and you're not currently inside of one, the next sprint that you start is what is going to show here. So I'm going to show you something real quick. I'm going to hit create sprint down here. Now you see we have sprint two. I'm going to create another one. Now you see we have sprint three. Now, if I'm working in 2 week increments, this is going to be 2 weeks worth of work. Then after that work is done, I have another 2 weeks and then another 2 weeks. What I'm going to do next is show you the different ticket types that I use, which are going to be epics and tasks. I think that's what they call them. But we'll see. I'm going to show you tickets. So first thing is I'm going to click epic. I'm going to highlight epic here. Now, what this does is it shows me this screen here for epics on my phone. An epic and I want to say ticket. I can't remember if it's called a ticket in here because you can decide what it's called, but I believe it's called a ticket. But an epic is an overarching project. This is like the parent project. So with me saying I want to build a game, the game itself that I want to build, I could consider that to be the epic. And inside of the epic, I'm going to have tasks or tickets. So those tasks or tickets will all be assigned to the epic. And the epic, if you click on it, you can view all of the stuff that's assigned to it. So I'm going to show you an example, but I needed to show an epic first. So we're going to start with an epic, and this epic is going to be called. Um, I want to have something fun, like something really really fun. Let's just say build. Uh, okay, opening airport. So open airport. Oh, actually, better one. Build wrestling company. And you guys bear with me. I do have ADHD, and sometimes my brain is everywhere. So build wrestling company. This is the epic. You can see nothing happen here, but and we can see the information here. But if I were to click right here on create an issue, that's what it's called. So it's not called a ticket or a task right away. It's called an issue. You can create a task, a bug, or a story. So you have different issue types. If I click manage issue types here, you will see, I'm going to close this. You will see on your left hand side, you have an epic, and then under the level epic, you have bug, story, task. So these three are interchangeable as far as the leveling. The thing is, you just want to use what's appropriate for you. So story normally works, but I really like to use a task. I just think task just sounds more appropriate. And just showing you inside of here a little bit, that button that I clicked is what allows you to define what is going to be inside of a task. So you can put all types of stuff. You can build fields. It's really cool. So I'm gonna go back real quick, and we're gonna go back here. So now that we have an epic, I want to go ahead and build not a story, but a task. And in this task, we have build a wrestling company. I'm going to just create some dummy tasks, but I'll say the first task I'll say I'm doing is creating a name. So create company name. Now, creating a company name is a task I just created, and you see it's right here in sprint one. I'm going to click the details, and you can actually open this up bigger if you click right here. I'm opening it up in a new window. And if this is in your way, you can also close that maybe later. So now this is my actual ticket that I'm working on. This is the task. If you want to add a description, I could come in here. And I always recommend, if your title is not self-explanatory enough, I always say you should have acceptance criteria. And acceptance criteria is what it has to happen for this ticket to be considered done. Like, what does the done say? So for this, it'll say I have a name that can be legally use for my wrestling company. So that's my acceptance criteria. You see, you can add comments in here. So I can say, I'm considering a name that has an acronym of TFW. So when I make comments, the comments stay, the tickets stay, and that's what I really love about Jira is you'll see once I complete a ticket, I actually can always go back and look at the ticket. It doesn't just disappear. So that's really good for keeping track of the work you've done, or even if you need to go back and look at some work you've done. So that is the description I made. That's a comment. But if I go back to the other screen here, and I'm going to refresh just to show you all, you won't see it yet inside of the Epic. So you see, it's nothing inside of here. That's why I say there's no issues. I have to add it. So it's two ways, it's multiple ways to add it. But the quickest way, if you're in this screen, in the backlog screen, and by the way, I'm here. That's how I got to the backlog screen. I can click add epic, and that epic that I created, which is right here, is going to assign it. So now you can see we have to do one. We have that one ticket, but I haven't done anything, so the bar is not filled up. If I go to view all details, you will see child issues right here. So you will be able to see all of the tasks that are associated with this. Now, let me tell you why this is so cool and so important. Let's say if you have a task, I made a video about how you can chunk tasks out and really get better at defining goals. This is really, really crucial if you have a giant task or a task that might take more than, let's say, 2 days, and you want to be able to track the work in a way that allows you to have separate tasks for it, but you don't want everything to be disconnected. So, for instance, this is one ticket here, create company name. But if you're like me, I started putting life stuff in here so that I can stay updated. So I might have it here, go on walk with son. Have another one inside of here for spend 2 hours playing Spider-Man 2. And yeah, I need to capitalize this. This is gonna drive me crazy if it's not capitalized. I have another one in here for the company name, and it'll be it might be create initial draft of business plan. And you see, you can see it's starting to kind of get all over the place. So what this allows us to do with Epics is I can say, okay, this create company name and create an initial draft of business plan will both be under the same Epic. These two, although they are not in this epic, I could create a new epic, and I'm going to say this is quality of life, right? These are things that I want to do to make me happy, which I always recommend you actually account for this stuff, especially if you have OCD, I mean OCPD and ADHD. I know my ADHD allows me to get super hyper focused and to work, and my OCPD it makes me a workaholic. Those two things, I will literally consume my entire sprint with just work. So if you start actually adding quality of life tickets inside of your sprint or your life, um, it might incline you to, it might make you feel more inclined to actually do these things, opposed to it just being something in your head or something somebody has to tell you. So and then I'm going to add one more, and let's just say, um, find find new recipe. No, actually, I'm going to show you a different one. So this is a completely different one. Measure blinds for son's room. Now that one is something it doesn't fit in these. So once again, what I'm going to do, go into here, create an epic. We'll call this home improvement. You can get as granular with these as you want. I'm doing home improvement since I'll have so many different parts of the home I'm working on, but it all works towards home improvement. So as long as it works for you, go with it. So again, clicking the epic. And for this, I'm actually going to show you a different way to add the epic because I did mention there are multiple ways. Close that out. I'm going to go inside of the Scrum 7 and I am going to Right here, you see it says parent. You can click it here and choose home improvement, or you can click up here where it has add parent and do home improvement. Either way, it's the same thing. Cool thing about Jira, these fields auto save, so you don't have to be worried about saving it. The only time you have to be worried about saving is if you're adding anything to a text field because it doesn't know when you're done. So in here, my AC is going to be um, I have measurement in inches for my son's blinds, and that's it. Save it. All right. So that is the overview of how to create a ticket. One more thing I'm going to show you. If once you start really getting into this and you want to start being able to accurately understand how much work you can do, you're going to want to make use of what they call story point estimates. This is so helpful, especially if you don't quite have an understanding of how long it takes you to do a certain project or a certain task. This is really helpful for you to understand how much work you're really loading yourself up with. So inside of here, this is literally a number field. That's what it is. So you can measure this however you want. I know in my workforce, we do the Fibonacci sequence. So we do one, two, three, five, 8, and 13. Anything over a 5 should be split. That means the ticket is too big. That's too much work. So you should split it out into separate tickets. And then the numbers you is relative to your personal life or your business, how they do the numbering. For us, a one pointer is something that you can knock out in a few hours. A two pointer is something that takes a day or longer to knock out. A three pointer is 2 days, and then five pointer is more than 2 days, I believe, and it just kind of keeps going up. So, however you decide to do it, you can do it where you make the story point estimates hours, you can make it days, you can make it whatever you want to do. So, I'm going to make the story point estimate here a one because it's something that honestly will take me not even a few hours, a few minutes. Never go with 0 points. Always, if you're going to use them, give yourself points, even if it's something really small. And yeah, the story points they come in handy because if I were to go back here, all of these don't have story points, but I think I can add them. I'm just going to add them in. So for initial draft of business plan, for that I'm going to give myself a 3. I know that'll take me more than a day. Spend 2 hours playing Spider-Man 2. This is something where it's going to take. It literally says 2 hours on there, so that's going to be a 1. Go on walk with son. That's something that's really quick. That'll be a 1. And now you see that's another way I can change it. And then create company name. This is I'm going to give I'll give that a 3 as well. So now you can see I have an estimate of 9. I have 5 issues, 5 tasks, but I have an estimate of 9 points. So this is helpful if you want to start measuring how much work you can pull in, not based on what you can see, because all of these are actually going to take a different amount of time. You can use the estimate and the pointer system to measure it that way instead. So hopefully this is making sense so far. I would ask if you have any questions, let me know now. But I'll say this: if you do have questions, drop them in the comment section. Again, Jira is really robust, but I'm just showing you a quick setup to get you started to use it in your personal life. All right. So now I'm going to show you about starting a sprint and what it looks like when you are inside of a sprint. So now that we have these tasks here, I'm looking at this and it says estimate 9. And realistically, if I'm working on this while I'm at work, I don't have enough time to do all of this. So I'm going to bump something out. I'm gonna keep both of these in, but I'm going to bump out the measuring suns room. Actually, no. I'm going to bump out creating a company name. And I just bumped it out by just dragging it. So you can drag it to any of these that you want. I dragged it to my next sprint because that is my next priority once these are done. And if I finish these up early, I can drag it in, just easily pull it back in. So I'm going to start this sprint right now. And as you can see, you can choose the duration of the sprint right here. So you can do 1 to 4 weeks, or you can do custom. I'm just gonna do 2 weeks here. You can choose a sprint goal. You don't have to. If anything, if you want to choose a like a main priority, you would put that here. So if this was my main priority, I would say um, work on business plan. That's what I would say. Now I say start. So now I'm going to talk really briefly about, and we're in the sprint, but about the statuses. So the cool thing is once you have determined what your tasks for the sprint are, you will be able to track your progression on them. So it's not a thing of, okay, I started it and now I'm just checking it off like a checklist. It's actually very, very cool what you can do with it. So for instance, all of these tasks right now are in what they call the to-do section. You probably rename it. Yeah, you can rename it if you wanted to. I'm going to leave it. So I have the to-do section. And what I'm going to do is for create initial business plan, just going to drag it and move it to in progress. If you want to learn a different way to actually move it over though, because I'm gonna act like I did this task, I'm gonna click on here to open it up, and then you see right here is in progress and matches. I'm just gonna go down to done. And boom, just like that, the task is done. Just to show you how to get to this screen, this is your board. So from that main screen, the backlog was this. Can you drag these? No. Backlog is this where you can see all of the different tasks in the sprint. And as you can see, this shows the status of the sprint, the tickets in the sprint as well, which is really helpful. But you can also see your board, which is a view of just the sprint you're currently in. So yeah, that's a quick way to do that. And let's say we're going to imagine that the 2 weeks is up. Well, actually, no, I'm gonna show you one more thing. I'm gonna go to start a walk with my son. Let's say something came up and for God forbid, I hurt my leg and I can't walk with my son this week. Well, instead of leaving this in here, I can actually click on it here, and we can bump it out. So we can click on the three dots and we can go ahead and, oh, I don't have that configured here, but no worries. I'll show you in the other screen. So we'll go back to the backlog here. And like I said, a leg was injured. Instead of me keeping this in the sprint and messing my numbers up, I'm going to go ahead and drag that down here. And we'll say, okay, we're going to pull it out. It's going to let us know that our numbers will be impacted because we're pulling out some points and we're okay with it. So now the estimate for next sprint is 4 points and we are down to three tags. So let's say the 2 weeks are up. We are now done with one task. We didn't get the other two done for some reason. Well, what you can do is go to complete sprint. This will end the sprint we're currently in, and it gives you the option to decide what you want to do with the tasks that are remaining, those two tasks. So I can either move these into the next sprint or create a new sprint from those with those tasks or move them to the backlog. So I'm going to go ahead and just move them to the next sprint. And boom, there we go. Now you see we went from sprint one to sprint two. If I go to board, it should be empty. You see that? It's empty because I don't have a sprint that I'm working in right now. So we'll go back to the backlog and we're going to click start sprint. Same cycle, click start, and we're good. So that is how you use Jira. I recommend you use Epics, take advantage of Epics, and customize it. Like once you get comfortable with this, start customizing it, making the changes that you want. They do have a dark mode, which normally would just be a simple button on a lot of other places, but it's really helpful, like I mentioned, and you can do all different types of things with this system. So I hope that this video was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm not working for Jira, I'm not paid by Jira, but it's something that really helped change my life when it comes down to managing my ADHD and my OCPD. I'm out of here, OCPD coach. We'll talk to you all later. I hope that if you got some value out of this video, you could find it in your heart to subscribe or leave a like or share it, do any of those things. And I want you to keep fighting for your life.